Something I was thinking about today, especially after I made that video this morning about Anthony Joshua and Ruiz and having their fight go over to Saudi Arabia. Another thing I was thinking about is a situation with Canelo Alvarez and DAZN right now, with Canelo Alvarez not having that Mexican Independence Day fight that he usually has, and that was expected of him to have on DAZN, recently. So obviously he passed on that date. Now they're looking for a new opponent, and we talked about it several times, Eric and I, on the show, about how the plan for Canelo signing with DAZN obviously was to have him fight Golovkin. That's why they signed Golovkin to that big deal as well. And it seems kind of crazy for Canelo to not know or not understand that that was the plan. And it also seems even crazier that DAZN, didn't put anything in the contract that ensured they would get that fight. Because I think both sides knew that that was the intention. But now all of a sudden, Canelo is throwing DAZN and Goldenboy sort of a curveball here. And we all know what's going on with Canelo and Goldenboy with the IBF stripping situation and the Derevyanchenko fight. Now it appears as though Golovkin and Derevyanchenko are going to fight instead of Canelo fighting Derevyanchenko. But another thing also too is DAZN signed this deal with Joshua. Not with Joshua, excuse me, with Eddie Hearn and Matchroom. He has a fight. They have a fight-by-fight with Joshua, but they signed this deal with Eddie Hearn and Matchroom, and they wanted to use Joshua as basically the flagship attraction in that deal. He was supposed to be the focal point of that deal. Now, obviously, they wanted to bring a lot of the UK cards over the United States, and they wanted to showcase the UK fighters to the United States public. But the big goal was to eventually have a Joshua Wilder showdown. And in order to do that, the first step in the process was to have Joshua fight Big Baby Miller, and that was supposed to be his showcase introduction to the United States public. And then in turn, they were probably going to do the Joshua Wilder fight shortly thereafter in the United States. But that fell by the wayside. And we all know what happened with the Andy Ruiz situation. So now all of a sudden, because of Andy Ruiz's huge upset, the rematch with Joshua looks to be the biggest fight of the year and the biggest fight in the sport of boxing right now. So DAZN signed these two blockbuster deals, one with Matchroom for a reported $1 billion for 8 years, $200 million a year, and the $365 million deal with Canelo, and also the $100-and-something million deal with Golovkin. So, salute deal. So we already know what the plan was. So DAZN has made a huge investment in Goldenboy, and they made a huge investment with Matchroom. So my question is DAZN getting screwed over here? Are they getting hosed? Because now you have the biggest fight in the sport of boxing. It was all but expected. It was all but a given from DAZN's perspective that the rematch was going to be in New York, because that seemed like the most logical place, because again, it would help get the UK subscribers. It would help put Joshua in a primetime slot in America and give him further exposure to the American public. And not only that, it's a feather in their cap for being able to show the biggest fight of the year in prime time, which would then attract a lot of US subscribers, and a lot of people would be, in a position to watch the fight in prime time on December 7th. But now if this goes according to plan, and this fight's in Saudi Arabia, and the fight ends up being at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, when all the other sporting events are going on, and when everyone else is, doing things. If they have kids or something, they can be involved in, some type of sporting event with their kid or some type of activity with their kid. They could be doing their, their normal routine, or a lot of people work Saturday afternoons. So they're definitely not giving the event or putting the event in a position where it can get the most exposure possible by putting it in Saudi Arabia and having it in that time slot. So is DAZN getting fucked over here by Eddie Hearn and Matchroom and by Oscar De La Hoya and Canelo? Or not even Oscar De La Hoya, is Canelo trying to pull a fast one on DAZN by all of a sudden not wanting to fight Gennady Golovkin and coming up with all these reasons for why he doesn't want to fight him? He's got to get a belt first, and I don't want to give him another payday and this and that. And now the biggest fight of the year, in which DAZN wanted to showcase once again in New York. They wanted to fight back in New York really badly, and now all of a sudden that gets taken off the table. So in both instances, it looks like it's a big slap in the face to DAZN, who invested a lot of money in Matchroom, who's put up a lot of money for AJ fights, only to be told, well, we're going to put this fight in Saudi Arabia in a 6,000 seat arena, and only the select few upperclassmen in Saudi Arabia can watch this fight. It's not going to be the same type of atmosphere or environment that it would be if you put it in the Mecca of boxing in Madison Square Garden. Okay? Which was what DAZN wanted them to do. So they basically told DAZN, the hell with you. We're going to put this fight where we want to put it. So now, I'm sure DAZN is not going to be investing the same amount of money in this fight being in Saudi Arabia as they would if it was in New York. So once again, the job of the promoter is to make the fight as financially lucrative as he can, make it as big as possible, put it in front of as many eyeballs as possible. But Eddie Hearn seems to have failed to do this now by bringing the fight to Saudi Arabia. And this is supposed to be neutral territory, but again, Joshua never fought in Saudi Arabia. This is a desert. Andrew Reese is from a desert in California. He's used to the hot environment. Anthony Joshua is not. So is this a smart move for Eddie Hearn? Will Joshua perform better in Saudi Arabia than he would in New York? Okay? That's a big question. Okay? So is this a smart move for Eddie Hearn to put Anthony Joshua in a hot place? In a hot place where he's not adapted to, where he already has stamina issues, and the heat can further hamper his stamina. Because again, Andrew Reese would be more used to this environment, more so than Anthony Joshua. Yeah, I thought Canada would have been a good place, Dale. The Bell Center or something like that. That would have been a better choice, in my opinion. And the time zone would have been the same too, so just would have made more sense. Would have still been in the prime time slot. And should have been put like somewhere in the Bell Center or something. That would have made the most sense. I know I got a UK shirt, man. Tyson Fury fan, man. I'm a Tyson Fury fan. You guys know that. I'm still UK's adopted son. I'm just not down with the Eddie Hearn bullshit. I like Frank Warren. I like Tyson Fury. I like Carl Frampton. I like Daniel Dubois. I like Callum Smith. I was a huge George Groves fan. I like David Hay. I respect Tony Bellew. I don't dislike Anthony Joshua. I just think he's putting too much stock into what Eddie Hearn is telling him to do. Yeah, the Saudi fight is a disaster. I don't think it's a good move. I don't think it's a good move. So that's the thing, guys. I mean, DAZN put up all this money only to have, the Golovkin fight not happen. That fight was definitely supposed to happen this year. It's definitely supposed to happen in September. And Canelo fucked him over with that one. And now Eddie Hearn is putting the biggest fight of the year, you know, the biggest fight in boxing of the year. Now he's deciding to put it in Saudi Arabia in a time slot where it's not going to be the best optimum scenario for US fans. And in turn, it's not going to help the zone get any more US subscribers, which was the goal in the first place. That's what people keep missing, you know? The zone, the zone even have an opportunity to say to Eddie, we can match that Saudi offer. We can beat it. No, because at the end of the day, Eddie Hearn was so concerned about having, it's not 54 degrees in the desert. No, that's not right, brother. That's not right. I know the climate over there. It's never 54 degrees over there. Maybe at night, not during the day, bro. It's like Vegas. You're thinking of California, bro. Saudi Arabia, it's not 54 degrees, bro. It's hot all year round, kid. It's hot all year round. Trust me, it's different. It's different than what you think. So, yeah, I mean, I think the zone. Who's they, Corey? Come on. Come on, bro. 54 and 75 degrees? No. It's 54 degrees at night. Like, late at night, probably. Again, he still has to go over there and train during the day. Who's Goodfella Boxing? You're gonna listen to Goodfella Boxing over me? I'm insulted, bro. Come on. That's like putting the National Enquirer over fucking ABC. Come on, bro. You know better than that. You know better than that. All you gotta do is Google it, bro. I'm a military man. I know all about the Middle East, bro. I'm from the Middle East. I'm Lebanese, bro. You telling me? Come on, man. They won't be fighting crazy heat. Again, this is what you don't understand. You guys just... I'm playing checker. You guys are playing checkers. I'm playing chess. He's got to go over there before the fight. And he's got to train in that weather. Okay? He's gonna fight there. He's got to go over there 2 or 3 weeks before the fight. And then he's got to live in that heat. He's got to train in that heat. Okay? It's just not going to be optimum conditions. He still has to get used to that atmosphere, that environment, that time zone. Okay? So, he's still going to be going into uncharted territory. And he's still got to be living in that environment for 2 to 3 weeks. Just like guys who go and they train in Big Bear, and they stay a couple of days and they leave because they can't take the atmosphere. Doesn't mean the fight's going to be in Big Bear. Doesn't mean in Big Bear the temperature's the same. Whatever. If you're going to go to a place where everything is different, you got to train there. It's not going to be optimum conditions for you. Food's going to be different. Everything's going to be different. Have you been to the Middle East, or are you just making shit up again? Does it matter the change in temperatures from day to night? You're not smart enough to listen to what I'm saying because you guys just want to believe what you want to believe. He still has to go over there and live there for 3 weeks before the fight. Okay? He still has to 71 to 50. Well, that's a 21 degree. Like how do you get that wide of a spread? 71 degrees to 50. Okay? And again, it's a different type of heat over there. He still has to go over there 2 to 3 weeks before the fight and train in that heat. That's what I'm trying to tell you. It's a different environment. It's a different atmosphere. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Okay? That's all I'm trying to tell you guys. But you're not listening. You're not listening. Is he going to go over there 2 or 3 weeks before the fight? Yes or no? Is he going to train there? Yes or no? Again, you're not listening. You're not listening. You're worried about the fight. Fight means shit. What about the preparation for the fight? Having to go over there and train in that weather. That's what you're missing. Again, you guys play checkers. I'm playing chess. Okay? That's the difference. No, he doesn't. He doesn't live in the Middle East. That's bullshit. He lives in the UK. AJ lives in Dubai 6 months a year. Never heard that before in my life. I'd have to see links. I have to see links with that. Does he train there? Does he train for fights there? AJ lives in the UK. Stop it. I'm not even. Again, you're just again. Don't come on here and disagree just for the sake of disagreeing if you're not going to say factual stuff. Okay? He has to go over there 3 weeks before the fight and live there. He's never been to Saudi Arabia. Okay? Saudi Arabia is hotter, is even hotter than Dubai. Okay? It's even hotter than Dubai. I was in the military, and I talked to many people who were there, who are in the Middle East. My sister's gone to the Middle East. She says the weather during the day is horrible. Okay? It's horrible. Okay, how many fights has he trained for in Dubai? Has he ever trained in Dubai for a fight? He's been to the United States several times before too. He's visited here several times. He's come over here before several times. But for whatever reason, he wasn't comfortable fighting here. It's a big difference coming to a place to visit and actually fighting and training there. So if he came to the United States before, he's got an apartment in New York. He's lived in New York for a couple months. So what's the difference? Okay? That's the difference. You're talking about going on vacations. And because Corey, all they want to do is disagree. I can tell them that the sky is blue. They're going to tell me it's green because they just want to be a contrarian. If you prove me wrong, I'll admit if I'm wrong, I'm going to say I'm wrong. Okay? It's more of a change for him to be fighting in Saudi Arabia than it is fighting in the United States. Because in December, the weather in New York is very similar to the weather in the UK. So now he's going to be coming from UK in December, which is going to be a cold climate. He's going to be going from the cold climate into a very hot climate, and then he's got to get acclimated to that. Whereas it's much more similar if he was to just go to the United States, because the weather and the conditions would have been the same. Okay, the UK and New York are pretty similar in the wintertime. That's the thing. So now he's got to go from the UK to Saudi Arabia. And again, he still has to train there during the day. Fine. That's all I'm trying to tell you. It's like with me, I have horrible allergies. And I don't do well in humid weather. Like when I go to Vegas, the air is so dry there. It doesn't matter how hot it is, nothing bothers me. But when I go to Florida in the summertime, because the air is so thick, it's like split pea soup, I feel like shit. Doesn't matter, it's cooler during the night. Okay? You only sleep 8 hours a day. The rest of the day you're up and around doing shit, training and stuff. Okay, how's he gonna react to that? Okay, that's the point you guys are missing. Just like when people talk about PEDs, it's not what happens on fight night. It's the effect the PEDs give the fighter during the training camp. The training camp is everything. The training camp is a reflection of the fight. That's what you guys keep missing. You guys look at the small picture. Again, I'm playing chess, you're playing checkers. That's the problem. It's still a greater acclimation process for AJ to have to go to Saudi Arabia in December than if he was to come to the United States. That's just a fact. It's really hard to debate that. But we got caught on a sidetrack here. But you guys think the zone's getting fucked over here because it seems to be that they're not getting what they paid for. They're not getting what they bargained for. They wanted a Golovkin fight in Canelo in September. They're not getting that. They wanted this Joshua Ruiz fight back in New York. They're not getting that. So they're paying all this money, and they seem to not have any control over the situation, or very little control over the situation, because what they want to happen is not happening. So are they having second thoughts about this deal? What happens if AJ loses? How does that affect the situation with the zone? And what happens if they have to deal with Canelo? Every time Canelo has a fight, he tries to get a fight signed, they're going to have this back and forth battle with him, and it's going to be a nightmare getting a decent opponent for him. And are they ever going to get that Golovkin fight like they wanted? That's what you have to ask yourself, because that's the biggest money fight out there for them. Third fight between Canelo and Golovkin. If they're not able to get that fight, which is the fight that they expected to get, and which was the fight that Goldenboy probably promised them, but now all of a sudden Canelo and Goldenboy have a rip going, and Canelo wants to do his own thing. So that's just basically my point. It looks like the zone is getting fucked over by both Goldenboy, Canelo, and Matchroom here. And when they put these deals together, they should have set them up as such where they have more control over the situation, so they wouldn't be caught up in the same situation that they're in right now. Like what HBO is dealing with fighters. If they didn't like the fighter that you wanted to fight, they wouldn't approve the fight. And if they didn't approve the fight, they wouldn't put the fight on. And they didn't sign fighters to long-term deals like this. They didn't put all this money up front and back themselves into a corner like the zone did. And I already had this conversation with Steve Kim when Steve Kim was on the show, and I told him, I said, is it wise to invest all this money up front into a fighter and tie him up for such a long term when you don't know what's going to happen? If you were to tell me when this 300 is, it's good for business. It's not like you're not going to get paid buku dollars to do it. But now they locked him into this big contract, and now they're paying him big money to fight Joe Blow. So now there's less incentive for him to fight Golovkin. And the zone, they thought for sure that this rematch with Joshua and Ruiz was going to be in New York. They were willing to put up a lot of money to bring it back to New York. That was what they wanted. They were willing to pay for it. But then Eddie Hearn goes and says, "Oh, well, it's not about the money." Again, when have you ever heard a guy like Bob Arum ever say it's not about the money? This is probably the most successful promoter in the sport of boxing in the world of all time. When has he ever left money on the table because of personal issues or because of other things outside of what's good for the business? What's good for the business is you make the biggest event possible and put it in front of as many people as possible. And if you're not willing to do that as a promoter, then I have to question how successful of a promoter that you are. That's what I have to question. And if you don't have confidence in your man that you feel as though he can't win in the United States, then, I mean, eventually you have to cross him over. Eventually, if you want to make him a worldwide superstar, you got to have him make a name over here. So what are you going to do? Just because you lost one time, you're never going to bring him back here ever again, where he can make the most money? So you're not doing what's best for the guy's career because you don't believe in him. And you're not doing what the DAZN needs to be done, because the plan all along, as I said 1,000 times, and I hate to keep repeating myself, is they were supposed to sell Joshua to the American public, showcase him to the American public, make him a name in America, and he was supposed to help them, along with Canelo, to increase their US subscriber base. And now how are they going to do that? By putting a fight in Saudi Arabia. Makes no fucking sense. That is a Union Jack shirt. That's correct. That's correct, baby. Told you, I'm a Tyson Fury fan. Tyson Fury fan, baby. I'm down with the fucking BT Sport, baby. I'm not a Matchroom fan. I'm down with BT Sport. I'm still UK's adopted son. That's how it is, baby. That's how I roll. So that's just how I look at it, man. I think the DAZN's getting fucked over. I think the DAZN's getting fucked over. I don't think they got what they. I don't think they. Yeah, I still keep it flat up there. I don't think they got what they bargained for. I don't think they got what they expected from their investment. And I'm curious to see what happens moving forward. How the relationship between, especially them and Canelo, plays out. And I'm wondering if Joshua were to win this fight and they try to make a Wilder fight, and Wilder decides he doesn't want to go to the UK, if they're going to end up putting that fight in Saudi Arabia too. Because I don't think Wilder's going to go for it. So the DAZN's got a lot of problems ahead of them, potential problems ahead of them, because of these issues I'm talking about right now. So let me know what you guys think. I think that's about it for now. Maybe I'll jump on later. Until next time, Beeb is out. Thank you so much. I'll talk to you guys soon. And see you tomorrow. 7 p.m. Eastern Time.